kind of an abnormal background that really on paper, statistically, I shouldn't be doing this, right? So I was given away into foster care at 3 years old. Me and my four siblings, or three siblings, I'm one of four. And we just experienced a really tough kind of childhood. And if you look at statistics of foster kids in the world, 75% of inmates in American prisons are former foster kids. 50% of our homeless population have spent time in foster care. Less than 1% of us will graduate from college or uni. And so essentially, like, I was kind of set up way behind the ball growing up. And I started out not knowing who I am, where I fit, what I'm supposed to do, why does nobody love me? That feeling that we typically have of I'm not good enough, nobody loves me. That was my reality.
Welcome to another episode of the Imperfectly Perfect podcast. With your host, Glenn Marsden, we go beyond the surface to share truths, journeys, and raw stories from some of the world's most prominent public figures. From entertainment and sports to corporate leaders, personal development experts, spiritual mentors, and leading medical and scientific professionals, each guest brings a powerful message of resilience and transformation. Subscribe to our new YouTube channel to stay updated on every episode as we continue our mission to change the narrative around mental health, one story at a time.
So first and foremost, welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on. A solid introduction, my friend.
You're a self-proclaimed foster kid. Tell me about Anthony.
Yeah, man. Anthony is he's a weird dude, to be totally honest. He's just, we all have our weird things now, but I came from a kind of an abnormal background that really on paper, statistically, I shouldn't be doing this, right? So I was given away into foster care at 3 years old. Me and my four siblings, or three siblings, I'm one of four. And we just experienced a really tough kind of childhood. And if you look at statistics of foster kids in the world, 75% of inmates in American prisons are former foster kids. 50% of our homeless population have spent time in foster care. Less than 1% of us will graduate from college or uni. And so essentially, like, I was kind of set up way behind the ball growing up. And I started out not knowing who I am, where I fit, what I'm supposed to do, why does nobody love me? That feeling that we typically have of I'm not good enough, nobody loves me. That was my reality. That's how I was. Like, my first memories of life are being like beaten and starved and tortured by random people that, just was scary. So that's the beginning of my called developmental formative years, right? And so through a lot of the different stages of life, I've just navigated more than my mindset, my identity. In fact, like I've in my work I do, it's all an identity, and mindset has a place in that, but the anchor foundation is identity. And if you don't have your identity solidified, a self-categorization, your mindset doesn't even latch on. And so over the years, I kind of built both, right? I ended up in this family as the only Black person in an all-white family. So a lot of weird diversity issues and who am I? What's my identity? I was finally adopted at 14 years old by this all-white family, really, really poor also growing up. So I make a dumb joke that I grew up poor white trash. It's a dumb joke. Roll with it. And 14, I got a chance to do something cool, man. I got to play football, which is great. As a kid, like, you get to go do this thing, but for me, it was more than a game. Like, it was a chance for me to find this thing that gave me some self-worth. Like, I had to be this guy. And so I leaned in. At the same time, my adoptive mom got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. My older brother, I was one of six in that family. He went to the military. So, like, I was kind of on my own, it felt like. And just navigating the pitfalls of high school as a kid who doesn't fit in different cultures. Like, it was a non-diverse community, and I didn't even see other people like myself until I got into high school. So I'm like, they call me Oreo, which means black on the outside, white on the inside. That's what I got called a lot as a kid. And so, man, just never knew where I fit. And anybody that's never felt like they fit in somewhere, that was my roots. That's the foundation of Anthony's identity. And so
Wow.
I found that at 15 years old, I really wanted something different. I wanted to be a great football player, even though statistics would say I shouldn't and would never be that. And I did this stuff that back then I didn't know what I was doing, but like I ended up putting in this work to be this person that I had no reason to believe I could become. And in doing the things I did, I essentially built this different character. I tell people what you create creates you. And for me, the creation was a stronger physical body, but it created a stronger, more confident Anthony. And that guy started kind of running my life a little bit different. And I got a chance to get a football scholarship to play college football, had my first son at 20 years old, which is a different identity, met my real biological dad the same year, different part of my identity added on. Fast forward a couple of years, I graduated from college, go to the NFL, National Football League. And in my third year, I lose my career to a shoulder injury. Now I have no idea who I am. I come home, and now I've lost this thing that made me me. And anytime you have something that makes you've put so much into it. Sports, military, I send a kid off to college. I leave college. I lose a job. I fall out of a relationship. These things that just, they shake the ground with which you are standing. You don't know who you are. You don't know how to fix it. You just kind of get lost in the ether and blown like a leaf in the wind. And that was me. So I started a business, but the business was tanking. My marriage, we'd had two more kids. We had twins. I got three now. That's fallen apart. Like my marriage is just literally, my wife actually has an affair because I'm at this gym business trying to build Anthony and make him have confidence again. And I'm gone from the family. My kids don't have a present father. I'm out of shape. And like, essentially, I don't know who I am. And everything that made Anthony Anthony was ripped from me. And
Mm.
when you have no reason to be here, you choose to find a way to not to be here. And unfortunately, like for me, I had this moment of just an overwhelming sense of just grief and physical pain that I drove off one night. It was like, please tell my kids who their father was. Send a text message. Thankfully, there's no places open that sold rat poison. It was like 10 o'clock at night. And I just parked my car somewhere and just sat there. And the wave of pain kind of subsided. And it was this complete overwhelm replacement with shame. What are you doing, man? Like, this is not the life you're supposed to be living. Like, this is just, it was this really weird dynamic of like, I'm supposed to be happier than this. I've worked so hard. I played in the NFL. Like, this isn't supposed to be life after football, dude. Like, what's going on? And so I started this path of trying to figure it out. And usually when it happens, you go into a super deep fog. And it's whenever you have like all this overwhelming stuff, you don't want to face it. So you try to find what you can face for that day. And
Mm.
usually it's not the big problems. So I was in this fog trying to navigate the business. I get a divorce. At one point I'm living in this 500 square foot studio apartment with my kids sleeping on an air mattress next to my bed. I'm 28, 29 years old, and I have a gym business, and I got a 500 square foot studio. Like, that's not the former NFL lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I just had this internal thing of I didn't like myself. And when you don't like yourself, you don't take care of yourself. Like, why would you take care of somebody you don't like, you
Mm.
don't love? So I essentially, I would just, I'd party to hang out. I would, drink. I wasn't a present father because I was ashamed of who I was a father. Relationships I would get into would keep falling apart. And eventually, unfortunately, April 15th, 2014, I was in a hospital with my dad and my mom, my grandma, and it was my mom's final day. I watched her take her final breath, and it planted this interesting seed of like mortality. She's 47. And at the time I was 30. And I
Mm.
realized that as fast as life has felt till now, I could be here less time than I've already been here. And when that moment sets in, it's a different kind of feeling of like, wow, like there's got to be more. We've got to do more with our time. And it planted a seed of like, let me go out and try to make something of this crazy. Because this woman helped me reach a potential that was not supposed to be part of my life because of how she unconditionally loved on me. I was like, if I can find a way to carry her memory forward, it's got to be something in this realm. I was like, well, what if I find a way to unconditionally love in the world in a way that would help people reach their full potential and then do it myself, right? I want to do it myself and then teach people that. And so I started doing that. I was like, let me get out of it. Let me cross my finish line. Let me figure this stuff out. And so here's the crazy part. Even with that thought, I still was in a fog for about a year and a half. I was like, I want to do it, but I really wasn't fully into it. And it wasn't until I woke up January 1st, 2016. I traveled to Russia in 2014, gave a presentation over there. Business had done fairly well financially, and I was doing some cool things. And I thought the Playboy lifestyle would be my thing. And as a man of faith, all my life, like this is the farthest I had fallen from my faith. When I played professional football, like I didn't even cuss. And now I'm in this mode of Playboy travel, meet women kind of thing. And I woke up January 1st next to a woman who had flown from Russia, didn't speak English, completely, purely physical thing. And I felt like the immense weight of the shame of what it is to be me. I would never want my boys to do this. I would never want my daughter to see me doing this. I never want myself to see this. Like, if my mom was to see me, she'd cry. And my God would not let me into heaven acting like this. And it was this kind of internal, like, you got to fix this. And in doing so, it put me in this position to start really analyzing the one common denominator in all of my problems in life, me. So we're the one person. We're the one that's in all of those situations. And so like I had to do some real deep digging and ownership and then have some hard conversations, like own up to my position in the divorce, in the affair. It was weird. Like, she made a crappy choice. I take nothing from her in that. But it took two people to get us to a position where she even felt she needed to make a choice. So
Mm.
I had to own that and have a conversation there. I talked to the guy she had an affair with. I was talking to people that had wronged me and stolen money from me. Like, I rectified so many relationships because I realized those were the things that kept the most weight on me. And then in doing that, like forgiving my mom for putting me in foster care, my real dad for not coming around my entire life. But it gave me a sense of like, if I can do it for them, okay, I can do it for me. And so then I was able to turn a little bit more and start figuring out this guy and what he needed to do. And it upgraded who I am and how I operate as a human being. That's really where my work is at. Identity is this thing that's hard to really get concrete. But if you think about it, identity is who you are when you're not thinking about who you are. When you're doing things without thinking about it, instinctual motion, just flow. And if I flow in a certain way, that I operate a certain way. When I operate, how I operate determines how I perform. My
Yeah.
performance depicts my success. So most people are trying to perform differently, but they're not looking at, well, what's affecting your performance. It's how you operate without even seeing it. Buy the book, get the course, buy the coach, all that kind of stuff. But then you don't operate well with any of that stuff. Therefore, you can't perform the way you want to. You can't have success you're seeking. And so I started learning this back then. And what I did is I started applying it to my life. And then fast forward 9 months, it's like October, November in that realm there. I think it was like 9 or 10. I end up getting back with my ex-wife. We fixed the marriage. We have an amazing marriage right now. She's a butthead, but I love her to death, right? I have kids who have a present father. I'm in shape. I have a business that runs, and I get to give back because I've crossed a lot of finish lines that I can now turn back and tell people how to be able to cross that finish line faster. What I did that took me 30 something years to figure out, I can teach people in 3 months now. It's not rocket science. It's tactical and strategic. And it's not this, esoteric soul, like spiritual identity. Like, no, it's tangible. It's who you are. It's how you operate. And that comes from me saying, I want to give back to the world in a way that my mom gave to me. And I want to leave this place in a far different position in the society's heart than I entered it in. Because I entered it by it being this kid nobody cared about, not even my mom. I want to leave having left something really special behind legacy-wise for my kids and for the people that got to interject or interact with me in some capacity of my life while I was here.
Wow, there is so much to unpacking all of that, and I'm just blown away. Like, so just honored to literally be in your presence and listen to that, because what it always gets me is the fact that, first of all, you talk about legacy, and that's what I want to do with this campaign toward my kids. But you often talk about, and I've heard it so many times when I watch your stuff, people are either two different types. They're either led with the heart or the head.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were talking about your story and everything through there, what I always say to people, and people are probably fed up of hearing this, but I'm truly thankful for the campaign to where it has got. But for my personal self-development, everything that you were saying there, and people that I interject and help along the way, it literally, you can spend so much money on all these programs or anything, but unless you fix what's going on in that mindset and you really have a word with yourself, I always say it's that internal dialogue and really owning your truth and stepping into that. And you certainly have. And now you're on world stages and your motivation is just, it's catapulted. But what I would say to you is, when it comes to this campaign and why I've tried to disrupt social media on corporate, on the internal, you was working on yourself. What have you found through social media and how big it has got in portraying the way that we're in this almost comparison syndrome where we look at other people's things? Because that's where I am trying to obviously disrupt it and go, hey, Anthony Trucks, on one hand, you have seen the amount of success he's achieved, but success to him is completely different to what it is to you. He's probably just happy paying the bills with his family, being of service to other people like myself. But on the external, people look at it and go, wow, he's never had issues. And that's what I want to break down. So what have you found with social media and the way that people are depicting other people's lives and comparing?
Yeah, it's a very intricate dynamic piece, because that is a humongous piece to all of it, right? It's interesting is there's a study that came out 2018, I think 2018. It talks about identity and mindset and the duality of them and self-categorization. It's funny is people usually assume that mindset's the thing you need. And you actually said it a couple of times. You said the mindset. And it's a very common thing to put together, but it's weird because it's vastly two different things. I came out of the NFL, phenomenal mindset. To this day, I have a powerful mindset. But what's crazy is with that mindset, if I don't believe I am that thing, that person, the mindset is useless in that area. I can affirm all I want and work real hard all I want, but the back of my head, I'm always like, yeah, but that's not you, Anthony. Like, that's why a football player comes out of football and like we try something new and we feel way like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
Put me on a football field, I got you. Put me in a business room in the beginning, I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on here. Like, I feel bad. but I know how to run real fast and work real hard. So the mindset piece of it, what's interesting is now you go to the realm of people work on their mindset and they go to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and they still feel less than. Well, why is that? And there's a very specific piece because you internally don't quite know who you are. And you also don't know who you need to be. So you're trying to borrow somebody else's scale or their perspective of an identity. And so because of that, now you have to measure yourself up to their scale. And because you're not them, you'll never reach it. You'll always be forever like the imposter and not doing good enough. And because you're trying to compare yourself to somebody who you can't be. And it's not even you can't be like successful like that, because you can at a certain level. But like you said, what is your version of success? Like for me right now, I'm wearing flip flops and some basketball shorts with a hole in them. I kid you not. Like I'm just chilling. And I love this part of my life. I am in season of dad. I love being home with my kids and hanging out. I don't want to be on stages as much right now. I love doing it, but like I want to be at home, go to baseball things and running around playing football. And like that's what I love doing. But if I was to borrow the world scale, they'd say you're not doing enough. You should be on a stage, run an event, push for millions, be on stage. Like, and that's not who I am, right? So if I adhered to that and adopted that, I'd feel less than every day. Every day I would. And so what I tell people is when you look at the social media aspect, first off, you have to realize that that's a scale that is unset. No one said it, but you've said it in your own head about what it is and what it should be and how it could operate. And it's fickle. It's weird. So I tell people, go home, set your own scale. Set your scale of what would be great for your life. If you were to sit back and say, this is the greatest life I'm living if I could do boom, 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 boom every day. Okay, cool. And then what you do is then you just have that be your scale. You can talk to one other person, I say, a person who's a little bit above you in success in your version of it. Maybe they'll stretch that a little bit, make you a little bit uncomfortable. But now what happens is you go along and do your thing and you accomplish this thing. In the past, I'd accomplish something and I would show it to people and they'd be like, yeah, but you didn't do this. So it just robbed all the joy I had from the thing I was doing.
Yeah.
Whereas now I say, hey, look, I did this. And they go, oh, but you could have done it. I go, hold on a second. Let me take a look at my scale. Yeah, what you said, I don't see it on my scale. So I still feel good about my life, man. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna trust what I already created, right?
Mm.
And so now when you look at social media and like people go out, like I got a bunch of buddies who have millions of followers, buku bucks, New York Times #1 bestsellers. And I love their success. I have no envy because I know who I am. I know my scale and I'm ticking away at my pace and I'm in joy. And the emotion, your disposition, the emotion that you live in every day, it will determine part of how you operate, what you succeed or no succeed with. Because if you operate every day feeling less than, it's like going to a birthday party in a bad mood.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have any fun, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm in a better mood because I'm like, hey, I love seeing him win. I'm able to see some things I can do to get there when I choose to. I'm having success here. I'm happy. I'm going to the birthday party happy, man. Put me in the pool. Like it's a way different design of how my life is living. And so, yeah, too many people in a world nowadays we live in are letting society, honestly, different topic, but same topic. Social media becomes the identity.
Mm.
That's the problem. Social media becomes how I portray myself to the world, and that's my identity. And because I'm trying to do it in comparison to Tom, Susan, and Nick, well, now I'm trying to keep up with them. But here's a cool and crazy, weird thing. When you post that video and you know it's not really how you feel, you have a reminder you get to see every day of a lie you put online. And that eats at you in ways you don't know. Like there's this post I did a couple days ago, and it said, we're a sad generation with happy pictures. We're not addressing the actual roots of what's going on. So because of that, we're consistently being shown in our own feeds every day by other people how much we're not doing. And then the fact that we're possibly liars. Does that person want to go out and be bold in the world and expose himself? Not really. Because what if somebody finds out? So we play small, protect that part of our identity and stay in this funky place. Or you say, hey guys, I'm human. I got problems. And not every day is great. Some days suck. My wife and I, for the last couple of days, have been in a weird little spat about she threw a blanket on my laptop on the bed and I was like, you're gonna break. She's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, but you could. No, I can't. I'm like, damn it, it's my laptop, woman. Like this is like this back and forth spat. And it's like, we're not perfect. I'm not gonna even sit here and tell you we are, but I love my marriage and I love what we have because that's the 80-20. 20% of the time she's a nutso. She's human. And 80% of the time I love this woman, but you're not gonna see me online ever being like, we ain't got no problems. We're golden. No, I'm very happy, but I'm happy because I appreciate everything. I see what I have, and I'm happy at the birthday party, we'll call it.
Yeah. And you say there, you're not perfect. So I will put it to you as I put it to all our guests. With the name of the campaign being Imperfectly Perfect, what does that sentiment mean to you, being imperfectly perfect?
Yeah, so I'm a man of faith, and I think the aspect of perfection is an impossibility, and it's okay for it to be an impossibility. I think the pursuit of perfection is a feasible thing, right? You may never find it, but the pursuit of it's great. Keep on chasing that carrot. Imperfectly perfect means that the way I look at it is kind of that same thing as we are not supposed to be all the same person and all or life would be incredibly boring if we all were like wearing the same clothes and all did the same things, had the same skill sets. If we were all sane, if everybody was sane, that would drive me insane. Like I need to be able to laugh at the crazy people sometimes with my wife. I need those moments. Like so we need to have the reality of like I don't think that we should seek. This is weird. I don't think we should seek complete equality. And this is interesting coming from a black guy in America, right? However, I think we fully seek true acceptance. Because if I truly accept you and you truly accept me, within there is an equality. And I think the aspect of imperfectly perfect is essentially saying, like, I am not perfect. I accept that about me, which makes me able to pursue a level of perfection within myself and outside of myself. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to be broken in some areas because you can still fix them. I think Trent Selton's a buddy of mine. He said one time, a broken crayon can still color.
Very true. Very true. Well, I've got one more question before you go because I know you're a busy guy. But I just want to interject there and just tell you really quickly everything that you've just said there. It was funny because I caught up with a friend, Jeff Fasano, yesterday, and he did a session with me, and it was basically nurturing the inner child because a lot of us tend to suppress things from our childhood, and it just really comes to show in our later life. So I think anybody, have you ever had any, I mean, attesting to your childhood and what you went through, and you've navigated your way through with that strong ethic of yours, but has there ever been a time, and this is coming towards my last question, what would you say to somebody out there that is obviously maybe at a place where you once were, for a little bit of advice?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to share the depths. There are people that I've known for a lot of years I've never had deep conversations with, and I'm close to them because we spent time around each other. However, there are people I've known for a couple years that I'm closer to than them because a closeness is a connection if you think about it, and the way you connect is not just the great stuff, but I need to know who you are in your heart, which is usually the hard stuff. And you're right, programming from kids, childhood, I had a lot of stuff I had to navigate. And I still, there's things I'm aware of, but I think they benefit the world. Like I'm a very selfish person in a sense of I want a thank you for my work. I want you to say, Ant, man, great. I really appreciate you coming on my show. But you got to realize the only way that I think and know that I can get that is to come on here and truly pour everything out for the world. So in my selfishness, I'm serving. And I think that comes from me desiring to be desired because I wasn't desired as a kid by my own mom. And I'm aware of that. And I've worked through that. And it's benefited the world in a different way, right? But if I bottle it up and I have it come out, here's the thing. Whenever you have these things going on inside of you, they will come out. They'll come out in anger, they'll come out in pain, disdain, envy, or you can choose the way that energy leaves your body. It can be in joy, it can be in servitude, it can be in trying to show up and do something better from what took place in the past. And so, yeah, I definitely like I've had a lot of people and that I've dealt with, and I know someone right now is listening and saying, you know what, I've got a lot of stuff that's happened in the past. That's why I drink. That's why I cheat on my girlfriend. That's why I'm mean to my kids because you know it's just this has all happened. Great, you're aware of it. Now choose the way you want it to come out because energy is energy, man. It'll come out the way you actually choose. You don't have to be, mean and just vengeful to the world. That same energy can come out in joy, and it'll actually heal that wound a lot faster and more like I guess more desirable than any kind of anger you can pour out of you.
Very true. And yeah, well, I know you might be selfish in that way, but I do thoroughly appreciate your time for coming on and pouring your heart out. I mean, what you
Yeah.
do around the world for people is absolutely amazing. So, where can people find out more information about you, Anthony? And if you've got anything coming up other than just enjoying being present at the moment with your kids?
Yeah, man. You can find me on Instagram at Anthony Trucks. If you want to figure out kind of because I work in identity, where you're at with your identity, kind of what of four quadrants you sit, you can go to slowergo.co. just how it sounds and take a quiz that figures out kind of who you are and what you must do to be able to get to the next level for your life.
Hey, once more, thank you for joining us today, Anthony.
Want to learn more about our work? Visit our official website and discover how one man, Glenn Marsden, redefined imperfection and built a global movement.